In my recent work in AI native organizational design, I get plenty of questions about learnings and real life case studies. Here, I like to share another two cases. These are two companies who have almost nothing in common, but they are converging on something very similar. So many leaders I talk to right now is asking the same question about AI. Where do we start? I want to suggest that this is the wrong question because the companies moving fastest aren't asking where to start. They're asking something much harder. If AI can move information through an organization, what is the middle management actually for? That's not a provocation. It's a live experiment running right now in two companies on opposite side of the world. One is the Chinese appliance manufacturer Haier. The other is a Silicon Valley fintech Block. They have almost nothing in common, and they are converging on exactly the same answer. Now, first one, the Haier case. 20 years ago, Zhang Ruimin looked at a company that was winning top of the global white goods market, and he saw a problem. Too many layers, decisions taking too long, and frontline people who were too far from the actual customers to care. His diagnosis was brutal, and I think it still lands today. In a hierarchy, employees become instruction executing tools, not value creators. So he did something most of us only talk about. He gave the front line three things: decision rights, hiring rights, and pay setting rights. He broke a global manufacturer into hundreds of micro enterprises, each facing the market directly. He inverted the triangle, the customer on top, the CEO on the bottom. And it worked. When Haier acquired GE Appliances, they exported the model, and revenue nearly doubled in 5 years, which tells us something important. This wasn't a cultural quirk, it's transferable. But here's the part nobody puts on the slide. And when you break a company into hundreds of autonomous units, you solve motivation, but you create a connection problem. Who reconnects the resources? Who aligns the roadmaps? Who stops 200 teams from sprinting in 200 directions? Haier felt it. Resource fragmentation, competitors catching up in core categories, and a cost structure that stayed stubbornly heavy. Coordination costs don't disappear. They just move. So Haier built platform strategies, internal markets, chain group contracts, sophisticated stuff. But all of it still ran on human negotiation, contracts, meetings, alignment rituals. This is the trap. Every flattening initiative on the last 40 years has hit this wall, and most of the companies quietly rebuilt the hierarchy they just torn down, because there was never anything to replace what was the hierarchy was doing. Now come the second case, Block. Jack Dorsey. His argument is the historical one. Every previous attempt at a flat organization failed for the same structural reason. Nothing could replace hierarchy's job of moving information up and down. His claim is AI is the first technology that can, and Block has an unfair advantage most companies don't. Years of remote first work means their decisions, their code, their debates are natively documented and machine readable. So they built two things: a company world model, a live map of the organization's actual operating state, and a customer world model built on both customer and merchant transaction data, compounding over time. Then they took the work that eats roughly 80% of a middle manager's week: status aggregation, cross-functional alignment, prioritization, context relay, and handed to the model. The frontline employee doesn't wait for a manager to explain the context. They query the system and decide. The stated ambition: thousands of people, one reporting line. So here's a frame you can actually use, and this is borrowed from a Chinese AI association. So effective intelligence equals human intelligence times AI times K. So here's the frame. Multiplication, not addition. If any factor goes to zero, the whole thing goes to zero. Look at the two cases through that lens. And the K means friction between the human intelligence and AI intelligence. So here are the two cases. Higher is deep on human intelligence, 20 years of frontline judgment, user obsession, self-driven units, and a mode you cannot buy. Their AI and their K are still climbing. Block is a mirror image. Extraordinary AI, near zero friction by design, but the open question is human intelligence. Because if thousands of people report to one person, every single one needs world-class independent judgment, and that's unproven. And the factor almost everyone ignores is K, the friction. Same people, same model, but can they find the information? Do the systems connect? Does experience get captured as something reusable? That gap alone can change your outcome by an order of magnitude. So, what do you actually do with this? The formula gives you a diagnostic. Your highest return is on your weakest factor. If you are higher, rich in judgment, heavy on legacy systems, stop investing in more cultural work, build the AI capability, and kill the friction. If you are a block, brilliant infrastructure, flat by design, your bottleneck is human. Invest in judgment, problem framing, and people who can operate without being told. And let me be clear about the conclusion, because it gets misread constantly. This is not a story about AI replacing humans. It's a story about removing the coordination layer and putting high-quality human judgment directly next to high-performance AI. Two companies, opposite starting points, same destination. The question for you isn't whether this is coming, it's which factor you are weakest on and whether you know it.